Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Peter Palmer podcast, where we attempt to read every issue of the Amazing Spider-Man week by week.
Yay.
My name is Mike, and with me, as always, is my co-host
Sammy.
Yes, and once again, we have a guest on this week, a special guest, all the way from Norway. We shipped him over.
Ooh.
We talked about this a few weeks ago. We wanted to go over there and kidnap him and ship him back to Australia. We did it successfully, and so we present to you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember listening to these threats.
Yeah, exactly. And you didn't, you tried to get us to not do it, but we were too sneaky for you. So Mr. Thomas Lie of
Yep.
FilmKos, that's the YouTube channel name, right?
That's right, yeah.
FilmKos.
It's my Norwegian shenanigans.
Yeah. So if you're Norwegian,
Or if you'd speak it.
maybe check that channel out. But Thomas, tell us a bit about you and what you're doing. Who are you?
All right, so I'm Thomas from FilmKos, as people say in English. I have a YouTube channel where I review movies and talk shit. I have a podcast, which is FilmKos Podcast, where I do pretty much the same thing. What do? I like sound design and I like writing. And I was in film school with you guys. I was the Norwegian weirdo that went to Australia for 3 years
With
and
all the
now
Australian
back home.
weirdos.
So
Yeah,
Film
good
school
stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
for weirdos. In case you guys didn't know.
yeah.
Oh,
And I just wanted to call in because I had a big issue with your last podcast because I listened to your episodes. And last week I saw that you had a title called "The First and Last Appearance of the Looter," and I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, me being a super smart Spider-Man fan. Surely this cannot be the last appearance of the Looter, famous villain the Looter. And so I went
famous.
on Wikipedia and did a little Google. Yeah, I did a little Google, and then I found out that he appears not only a second time, but like a third, fourth, fifth, and sixth time, and in like different spin-off medium, and in like all sorts of different crossover comics. And I'm like, this guy was pretty famous. Well,
he's a fan favorite.
you
Who
got
would've
that
thought?
fact really wrong. So I just wanted to like call in to give you some hate mail.
All right. Well, I guess thanks for putting us in our place. We deserve it.
Look, we made a bit of an assumption just based on how stupid he looked and his...
Let's just blame Jordan for it.
Yeah, we'll blame Jordan for explaining it to us wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, it's Jordan's fault. If you're listening, Jordan, we blame you.
All right, well,
But no, it's funny because like...
that was everything. So thanks for having me, guys.
Okay,
I'll see you guys next time, right?
yeah,
all right.
quickest episode.
We'll ship you back to Norway now.
Yeah. If you could just stay quiet in your cage for the next hour
gosh.
or so.
All right. 30 hours in a cage. I don't think I could do it.
Tyrion Lannister can do it than anyone can.
How do you think pets feel?
But he's tiny.
Yeah,
I'm
he is
very
tiny.
tall. It doesn't work the same way.
Exactly.
The Secret Life of Pets 2, and it's just like a bunch of pets and shipping crates getting shipped to like
I never
film
saw
idea.
that movie.
Me neither.
Was that a good film? Oh, I was about to ask if it was a good film.
No.
Thomas probably saw it. Did you see Secret Life of Pets?
No, I never saw it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so no one's seen it on this podcast, so we can't really talk about it.
Anyway, let's get on.
Let's
So,
get into what we actually talk about on this podcast.
What?
But not yet.
Oh.
We have to talk about the films.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
So, have you watched anything interesting or new this week, Thomas?
Yes, I've started going to press screenings in Norway.
Oh wow.
So I've been seeing a lot of the previews for what's coming out on Friday in Norway.
No, very good.
Well, today that we're recording this.
Cool. What have you caught?
And yeah, I watched a whole bunch of shit.
Anything
Like,
you can't talk about, really?
Green Book, for example.
Oh, Green Book.
Yeah. Like Green Book, I watched. Yeah, that was really good.
Sammy's seen that. I haven't yet.
People are getting really upset about it.
Yeah, I've heard about this. What's the
People
go
are
with
getting
that?
really upset
Why
about it.
are they getting
but,
upset? I don't understand because I've seen it, but I'm like, why are you upset?
Yeah, see, I really liked it. I thought it was really good, but
Yeah.
people on the internet are saying that that it's racist somehow. like
That's
they're
what I've been
trying to be
hearing.
not racist and somehow they're racist, then I'm like, oh,
Right.
I don't know. It was just a fun little like road trip movie. Like,
Yeah, that's what it was.
come on, guys.
Yeah.
Is it like Rain Man with Tom Cruise?
Not really, but
The poster reminds me of Rain Man a little bit.
is Rain Man gay?
well,
No, he's autistic.
That's right. Sorry.
I don't know.
He's something like that. I've only seen it once a very long time ago.
That's a spoiler for Green Book. Sorry. That out of context you probably didn't understand, but yeah.
What else have you seen early?
Yeah. Well, I saw If Beale Street Could Talk yesterday.
Ooh,
Oh,
I want to see
nice.
that.
And that was fantastic.
Yeah.
I want to watch that.
Yeah, that was fantastic. It was like Barry Jenkins. I love Moonlight. I thought that was really
Yeah.
good, and so I was excited to see what he's cooking up next. And yeah, it was just a sweet little personal, intimate story that I think will get everyone on board. And apparently, the Academy is on board, so it'll get some
Sick.
attention.
Yeah.
I hope.
It didn't get nominated for Best Picture though, did it?
A lot of things didn't get nominated for Best Picture.
I don't think so.
Yeah, Best Picture nominees were very weird this year, I reckon.
Did it?
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. But I also watched Vice.
Oh,
yeah.
I want to see Vice so badly. It's not in the cinemas anymore here,
Yeah.
isn't it, Mike?
it's got a few showings
Oh, really?
left.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
I
at
was
its
looking at
end
it
of
the
its
other day.
run
Okay.
here.
Well-
yeah.
Yeah, it's a really weird film. If you
Yeah.
like The Big Short, you will probably find this interesting as well. It's the same style that Adam McKay did in the Big Short,
Right, yeah.
but more extreme. It feels like he goes crazy with the editing sometimes, and it's just
Yeah.
like I think
I
you
saw a
guys talked
clip.
about it last
Yeah.
week where it was like a meme. Yeah,
It just it literally with the clip that I saw, it looks like a meme edit.
Yeah.
Like or a YouTube poop.
yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Yeah,
That was almost enough
It
to
is
make
pretty
me go
much
see
like
it.
that, and then like it's just the weirdest things that happen, and then at the same time they're trying to do like a biopic about Dick Cheney, and you're trying to learn something, and then they're trying to be a meme at the same time, and you're like,
Yeah.
is this a joke movie or is this a series? Like, it's a bit like you don't really know where you have it most of the time, but it was interesting. I thought it was an interesting film. I didn't know much about that period of history in terms of the American presidency, so it was interesting.
Yeah, very good. Didn't he do Anchorman? Was that Adam McKay?
Oh, Anchorman.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
love
he's got a
Anchorman.
comedy background,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
a really strange thing for him to go from that to like
Like
biopics.
a biopic about Dick Cheney, which is like, oh god, yeah.
Did he do Anchorman 2 as well?
I don't know.
What was that one
Oh,
called?
gosh.
The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
That's a good
No, that was the
question.
first one.
I love Steve Carell, guys. I just want to put it out there. I rewatched The Office these last few weeks, and I just forgot how funny Steve Carell is.
How could you forget?
Especially in Beautiful Boy.
Yeah.
That was so
Oh, that
hilarious.
show's
No
too
joke.
good.
Yeah. So is that all you've seen recently, Thomas?
Well, yeah, I saw some other things, but nothing else to talk about really. The other stuff wasn't so good.
Oh, okay.
Well, Mike,
Quickly
you
name
watched,
drop it.
Oh, actually, really quickly, because I want to get some opinions on this. Have you
Okay.
guys seen the Matrix sequels?
I've seen
No. I haven't.
Reloaded. I don't know if I've fully seen Revolutions.
Okay, because I watched Reloaded yesterday, and I was like, yeah, sure, it's a bit complicated and that, but
Yeah.
it's pretty fun. I don't know what
Did the
people are complaining
Wachowskis do
about.
all of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, when I was a kid, Reloaded was my favorite because it had that silly bit where he fights all the Hugo Weavings.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
have never seen Reload, but I know
It's
that
the
from
video game
memes.
sequence.
Yeah. And it had that highway chase.
You know, that
Yeah.
was not VFX. That's
Oh,
all
yeah.
practical. The
Amazing.
many Hugo Weavings.
Yeah, Hugo Weaving can just do that.
When he's at 10% power.
Yeah. God, I don't want to know what he can do at 100%.
They must have cloned him or something.
Yeah.
There's just that many people out there that look like Hugo Weaving.
No, they just used mirrors.
How can mirrors be real if our eyes
Oh,
aren't?
okay. Like in that movie Skyscraper, like that.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard of this
I
scene.
forgot that end scene. Lol. I literally forgot about that movie. That end bit was so dumb.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Well, Mike watched Into the Spider-Verse for the fifth time.
I can't help myself. It's a good film.
Oh my god.
Mike.
Yeah. No, I can understand
You've seen
that.
it 4
Gosh.
times.
Yeah, true. So I'm not any better. But 5? No way.
No, I was chomping at the bit to see it again.
I feel inferior.
How many times have you seen it, Thomas?
I've only watched it twice.
Twice.
That's pretty good.
Only
Twice,
watched it
yeah.
twice. For some people, that's like, oh my God.
Yeah. The thing is, when I saw it the first time, I was like, yeah, I'll probably see it once more when it comes out.
Yeah.
But then when I saw it like a few more times, I was like, you know what? I want to keep watching this
The
movie.
second viewing was the best viewing in my opinion. To what I don't know, watch.
Yeah.
Third was the best for me.
Yeah.
I think it was the cinema I was in as well. It had better sound.
True.
Because, like, I don't know what it is with the sound mix with this movie. I don't know if this is just a problem with the cinemas I'm in. But, like, the sound mix is really low for that movie.
Yes. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
There's some parts where I couldn't understand what, like, some characters were saying, especially, like, Uncle Aaron, that character.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
when his... Oh, I can't... That's a spoiler.
Oh,
Never mind.
We've probably spoiled the movie so many times on this before.
Yeah.
But no, oh.
That's the
I mean,
Spider-Man
if they're Spider-Man
bleep that
fans
out,
and they're
what you
listening
think?
to this, they've probably seen the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I'd hope so anyway.
But no, the dialogue's mixed really low. I remember the first time we
Yeah.
saw it, Sammy. That opening scene with the blonde Peter doing his monologue. I couldn't
Yeah.
understand anything he was saying. Like, I could just hear the music.
The
Yeah. But it was fine the other time to saw it. Just that first time, it sounded really muffled. Probably because it was an advanced showing and they didn't have it all.
I remember the first time I
Calibrated.
watched, I couldn't understand what Miles's dad was saying in the cop car the whole time. I was like,
Yeah,
cool.
that too.
Can't tell what this
So
conversation.
there's a reason it didn't get a sound mix nomination at the Oscars.
Or maybe it's just us.
it's just bad hearing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need subtitles.
Yeah. Oh, we were actually discussing this.
Oh, yeah.
We were like considering going to a screening and asking them to put subtitles up, but apparently they don't put them on the actual like cinema screen. You just get this like separate mini
Yeah.
like screen that you have to line up with the screen, and you put it in your cup holder.
They give you a device that you put in your cup holder, and it has like a mini screen that has the subtitles come up, and you have to like line it up with the screen like in front of you with like a bendy wire. It looks super dodgy.
Yeah.
And I've never seen someone
that
use
sounds
this
scary.
before.
So it's not like at the opera where they have like a little tiny screen on the seat in front of you.
No.
That'd be better. But,
That would
Should've
be
done that.
better.
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a weird invention. I've never seen it used before, so
Probably
it mustn't be very popular with the deaf community.
with the deaf community.
All right, Sammy, have you watched anything of note?
I've only
this week?
seen Green Book this week, so yeah.
You liked it though.
No, I loved it.
Do you think it
yeah.
was racist, like people?
No, I don't understand why people are upset about it being racist, because it's like it kind of is like about getting like hated on and stuff because you're black.
Well, I think
which is racism, obviously, but like, I don't know, maybe because I'm not. Well, I don't know. I'm a mixed person, so I've definitely experienced racism in my life.
Yeah.
Not to the extent that like, African American people have, but I don't know. I don't see, when I watch that movie, I'm not like, the first thing I'm not thinking about is, oh, this is racist. The first thing I'm thinking about was, oh, this makes my heart feel so full, because it's like just a fun buddy movie, and like they come out as better people at the end, which I love.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, so I have no say in the matter.
And I thought it was about like accepting people and being not racist.
Exactly.
I thought that was the lesson of the movie. And I was
Yeah,
like,
literally
what are you
at
guys
the
talking
end.
about? It's racist. I don't understand.
Literally the end of the movie is about that, the Christmas dinner scene. I was like, yeah, it's so strange. Yeah.
So it's like Rain Man.
Exactly.
The internet.
The internet.
People get angry over everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, true. All right, I'll quickly get into what I watched this week. I saw a few things because I was catching up on 2018 films. I saw 8th Grade, directed by Bo Burnham. I really liked that film. It's it captures like, you know how some high school movies these days, like they're getting better, but they still feel like they're made by like people who aren't in the know about like current trends and stuff like that. But this one, I feel like it was pretty spot on with like how
Capturing
12-year-olds
this,
act and
like nowadays anyway.
yeah. And it was heightened a little bit, but not to the point where it was like
What's it called?
8th grade.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Of course.
But no, I really enjoyed that film. And the guy who played the dad in it, I forget his name. He was hilarious.
Ray Romano.
I wish. What did he play the dad in?
The one where she nearly dies.
Yeah, Big Sick.
Yeah, the Big Sick.
That was a good movie.
I love Ray Romano.
Hey. All right. I also saw Sorry to Bother You finally. And this was all right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my reaction too.
I wasn't crazy about it. Like, it goes really weird, which I respected. Like, can I spoil it, Sammy? Do you care about Sorry to Bother You?
Is that the one where he gets arrested because of his friend?
No, that was Blind Spotting. This one's the call center one.
Oh,
Where he puts on a white
spoil it.
voice.
Yeah, spoil it.
Yeah. The most amusement I got out of it was his white voice is voiced by David Cross.
Oh, it's not even his voice.
No, because that's like the joke that he does it so good that
It actually sounds like
a white guy.
person.
And I was like, that's fucking Tobias.
Yeah, I love that.
And I looked it up and it was.
Yeah.
Tobias Funke.
Yeah. But no, there's this weird twist where like the call center people are like a weird cult that are mutating humans into horse people.
What? How does it turn into that?
I don't know. It goes there though.
That sounds like the end of Class. Just somehow.
Yeah, because like the first half of the movie just seems like a kind of like a satirical comedy, like black comedy,
Yeah.
literally. And then, then there's this weird twist about horses, and you see horse dick, and it's real weird.
What?
So I don't know if it quite stuck the landing.
You see it all.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, it didn't quite stick the landing with the messages and stuff for me, but it was still an enjoyable film. I love what's the main dude's name?
Yeah.
The actor.
Lakeith Stanfield.
Yeah. I love him in everything. He's great in Atlanta and Get Out, of course.
Yeah.
And Tessa Thompson's always great.
I love
as well.
Tessa Thompson.
Yes. Quickly, a couple other films I saw. I saw one called Night is Short, Walk on Girl, which I wasn't actually too familiar with.
Is that a foreign film?
Yeah, it's a Japanese animated film.
Oh.
Yeah, it has a really cool art style.
What's the Japanese name?
I don't know.
Okay, that's fair.
It's one of the films Josh gave me on his hard drive, so I was like, I'll give this a watch.
Of course.
And I really liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got really good reviews, but it's a bit on the underrated side because I haven't heard much talk about it.
It
But,
is a foreign film, so
Yeah.
tends to happen.
What can I say about it? It goes a bit crazy, but it didn't feel crazy in the way where it feels like, oh, we're being random. You know, it felt like it.
Like Paprika?
I like Paprika.
I like Paprika too, but it is a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you can't deny that.
What's that?
I like how you instantly just got really defensive. Like, I like Paprika.
No, because I thought you were saying it was. Anyways, what's that director's name who did Paprika?
Satoshi Kon.
Yes, Toshi
I
Kon.
love his work.
I love Perfect Blue. That's one of my favorite movies.
It's Black Swan, but
exactly
the original Black Swan.
It's better Black Swan if you ask me.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, Night is Short, Walk on Girl. I recommend it. I'll be talking about it. What was that? Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, you have to repeat yourself.
Yeah. No. So for those listening at home, quickly, we're across Atlantic or whatever, across the world. So yeah, we're a bit like glitching with the sound.
Yeah,
you
we
guys
lied
will
before
hear
when we said we
perfect
kidnapped
sound.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, what I was saying was, didn't Darren Aronofsky like ask the guy that did Perfect Blue to copy some of the scenes or something?
I believe
He did
so.
something
Yeah.
like that. We had a discussion because I know that Darren Aronofsky was pretty obsessed with that movie, wasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Like he's taken shots directly
I think that
from
was
it.
the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that movie. I want to watch it again sometime. Because I remember the first time I saw it, like it captures the feeling of going in and out of a dream like better than like live action can. Because with animation you can do anything. So like that transition between like different dream states and everything was seamless, and it felt like I was actually dreaming. Put that in your reviews. I also saw American Animals because I heard it was good, and I thought it was pretty good. It's the most.
Was it?
Yeah, the most interesting thing about it is like, it's not exactly a documentary, but it's not exactly a live action film either. Like, it kind of blends the two in an interesting way. But at the same time, I don't think it heightened any of the, like, realism or the storytelling, really, in the way I thought. Because, like, it cuts between, like, the actual people. Like, it's about, like, these college dudes who did a heist in the 2000s. And it cuts between the actual people being interviewed and, like, live action reenactments, but it's shot like a film. Like, if they took out the documentary bits, it would be like a proper like thriller.
You should watch Casting John Bonet.
What's that?
What?
No, what's that?
You don't know Casting John Bonet? It's that documentary that's about the little girl who got killed. The pageant queen in America, John Bonet Ramsey. It's on it's on Netflix,
okay.
I'm pretty sure.
I think I've heard of it a little bit.
Sounds like what you're explaining.
But yeah, it was a good film though. It just didn't feel like it did anything new for a film that was trying to do something new. And yeah, good filmmaking though. I think it was a first time filmmaker. I could be wrong. But no, it was really well shot and everything. But yeah, I just feel like it didn't heighten. The documentary aspect didn't heighten anything with the storytelling in the way that I think it was trying to. Because at the start they say, this is not based on a true story. This is a true story. And you're like, oh, what does that mean? Then you see the movie and it's like, it's kind of just a movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not like John Bonet then.
Yeah, there's no like crazy stuff that happens really. But yeah, that John Bonet thing you were talking about reminded me of a documentary I saw called Dear Zachary. Have you heard of that one?
No.
It's one of the most powerful films I've ever seen. No. Like it fucking...
Dear Zachary.
Yeah, I'll have to give you a copy of it sometime if I still have it, because like, it's the only movie where like afterwards I was literally like just frozen. Like I was that fucking like affected by it.
Dang.
Because documentaries always, obviously, they always feel more real, like than when you're watching a movie. And yeah,
a letter to his son and a letter to a son about his father. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like I could feel my like heart sink like multiple times throughout that movie, because like it's a documentary they're making at this like with good intentions, but like things keep going, like getting worse with the story. And
I just read the synopsis and I'm like scared to watch this.
I know, I don't want to watch it again. That's the thing. It broke me in half. But yeah, only other films I watched other than those were Into the Spider-Verse, which we talked about before. I think we've said all we can say about that movie.
Definitely.
But there are some things I do notice on my rewatches that I didn't notice the other times. Just little things in the background and little character things too, which is always fun.
Mm.
And I also rewatched The Amazing Spider-Man for some reason. It was on in the background, but I still...
Why?
Yeah, literally why? I only watch those films when I'm being forced to, because like that's on during me getting a tattoo.
I wanted to give it a chance because I always dick on it on this podcast, as the listeners would know. But no, it's not good. And I was actually afterwards, I was just so frustrated by it, because it's not like it's just a complete train wreck from start to finish. Like there's bits where it has potential. And it has a great cast, great filmmakers, and it's just bleh. It's barely a movie. And
it came out like in a time where a lot of these superhero movies wanted to be the Dark Knight, which we're still feeling the effect of today. But I mean,
definitely,
especially in that time, like 2012 or something when it came out.
Exactly.
you can tell even just by looking at the poster, you're like, yep, they're trying to do gritty Spider-Man. Yep, they're doing a Dark Knight version of Spider-Man. Here we go. It's going to be dark and gritty, and we're going to shove Spider-Man in the dirt, and we're going to rub him around there.
Rub
You
dirt
like
in his
watching
eye.
this? Do you like watching these dark and grimy pictures that you can't see what's going on? You like that, don't you? Yeah, you like the Dark Knight.
And it
You're
doesn't
just like sodomizing the audience. Yuck.
it doesn't work for multiple reasons because one, Spider-Man is not a dark character.
No, not at all.
Two, it just makes the film really dull because when I'm watching it, I'm like, this is really boring, and it shouldn't be because it's the Spider-Man origin story, one of the best stories ever told in comic books, one of the most iconic at least. And three, it's a really ugly looking movie. I don't know, cinematography is subjective,
so grimy and
of course, but just the color palette and the production design is so fucking lazy. Like everything looks gray and washed out, and like the sets, if you look in the background, there's just nothing anywhere, like inside houses and everything. There'll be like a lamp and like a fruit bowl. Like that's the attention to detail they have in these movies. But yeah. There's one really beautiful scene.
It is funny how they tried to like.
Yeah, what were you saying? Sorry.
Yeah. Hello. Sorry, this is one of those things where I couldn't hear you, and so I glitched out, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Did
same with
did
us.
they say anything? I don't know."
Same thing happened with us.
Oh gosh! And I was just saying that in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, you can tell that they're trying to do something different. At least on the poster, it's all like blue colors, and they're trying to be more colorful. And
The soundtrack
even
is
from
super
the opening,
different.
you can't tell that it's like kind of. Yeah. So at least they try to step away from that, but that movie has its own problems that are unrelated to the dark and gritty nature of the first one.
No, yeah, but that is why I like Amazing Spider-Man 2 better than Amazing Spider-Man, because even though it probably has more problems like plot-wise and from a screenplay standpoint, I don't know, it looks better. It has fun moments, and I like stupid stuff. So all the stupidity in it, I find kind of entertaining. But
I remember when I watched it in the cinemas back in 2014. And I was like enjoying it a lot. And then I walked out the cinema and I was like, yeah, guys, that was really good, wasn't it? That was amazing. That was an amazing Spider-Man movie. Wink,
So
wink.
relatable.
And, everyone, we were all like, oh, yeah, it was so good. And, wasn't that scene cool where he was like jumping in slow motion and shooting webs and shit? Oh, and there was lightning going through the staircase. Wasn't that cool? And then I went home and I was like, wait a minute. This wasn't good at all.
no, I had the
And then it took a couple of days and I was like, yeah, what's going on?
I had the exact same experience like when I saw it the first time, because I saw it with my friend and we're like, oh yeah, that was so good, like it's much better than the first one. They did like the death of Gwen Stacy and all that. Then I got home and I was thinking about it, I'm like, no, that didn't make sense. It's a very weirdly structured movie too.
We were Phantom Menaced.
Yeah, exactly. But
Oh god, the Phantom Menace.
It was Phantom Menaced.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
still enjoyable in some aspects, but not a great film. So, before we get into the comics of this week, did you read any other comics outside of Spider-Man, Sammy? We read that new Spider-Man comic.
Oh yeah, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Yes, which I'm enjoying so far. It's like a little neighborhood snapshot of Spider-Man actually being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man for once, which is cool.
Yeah.
But other than that, no. You guys know I finished Saga. I already talked about that. I've been reading more of Why the Last Man, which I'm enjoying.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I need to get on that. I read comics this week. What did I read? Oh yeah, I'm rereading some Fantastic Four comics from the Jonathan Hickman era. So like, I think it's issues 570 onwards.
They're so good.
What was that, Thomas? You cut out again. The listeners at home are going to be
sorry. I was just saying that I was just saying the Jonathan Hickman comics, they're amazing.
Yeah,
the Fantastic Four ones.
I've only read like 5 or 6 issues so far.
You didn't miss much. That was all I was saying.
Yeah. But no, I'm really enjoying it. Like, I really love those first 3 issues where it's Reed Richards finds like the cult of Reed Richards from like other dimensions, and they're trying to fix every problem in the world, but stuff goes bad. Of
Lol,
course,
that's such a Reed Richards thing.
I know.
Reed Richards is Rick Sanchez.
Who?
Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty.
Oh, I didn't know that was his full name.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, he pretty much is though.
I feel like they stole some of that plot from that comic
Yeah,
because it's so
probably
similar.
did.
Right,
The
yeah.
Council of Reeds, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, it's so similar.
Council of Reeds. Yeah, that's so true.
But no, I really enjoy when comics go all crazy like that.
Sicko mode.
And also they made it personal with the whole Reed Richard, by focusing on Reed Richards, because they have flashbacks to his dad at key moments to show like how he became who he is. And there's a really touching little ending on the end of that little section where you see his dad. I think it's like the last time he saw his dad or something. He's like, be a better father than I was, be a better son, more importantly, be a better husband. It brings it to a personal level rather than just having crazy stuff and just you don't care about it because you don't care about the characters. But yeah, I quite enjoy the Fantastic Four, and I think they deserve better on film, like I say every week. Yep. What are you doing, Sammy?
Nothing.
You're reading other comic books on our comic podcast.
No, I'm not. Anyway.
And I also read a Silver Surfer comic at the library yesterday because I was bored. But yeah, that was fun. We should talk about the Amazing Spider-Man comics now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
we're a bit too far. Isn't it?
Let's do it.
no, we're half an hour in. That's about as usual.
Mm.
Last week was like 50 minutes in,
Yeah.
or something ridiculous. All right, so Sammy, you have the first comic this week, issue 37.
Yes, I read this one last week, so I do remember most of it, but let's see how we go. Once upon a time, there was a robot. Issue 37. That's literally what it's called. Once upon a time, there was a robot. Even though there's 2 robots in this issue, but whatever. One of these robots also looks like a giant booger, but you know, whatever.
A giant booger, can I see?
Yeah, it looks like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, look at it. Yeah.
Looks like Flubber.
Flubber. It does look like Flubber. Anyway. So basically we begin this comic introducing Professor Stromm, who is locked up in jail, but no more, as he's being released now. So we have Mr. Foswell, I think is, yes. So Foswell is spying on Stromm getting released from jail, but someone is watching Professor Foswell watching Professor Stromm, and he's got a gun out and he's about to shoot him. But of course, somehow, I don't even know how Spider-Man would have known this. Like, why is he here, first of all? Second of all, anyway, so he punches the guy who's about to shoot Foswell, and he's just like, yeah, well, you know, fuck off, basically. Not in those words, okay? Spider-Man does not cuss.
I reckon he would.
Yeah? Ask Tom Holland.
Tom Holland would cuss.
No, he wouldn't.
No, Tobey Maguire would.
Yeah, Tobey Maguire would cuss.
He's seen him in Brothers with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, no. Tobey Maguire's a terrible person in real life, apparently, but I don't want to think about that. It is a shame. See, never meet your heroes, they say.
I didn't.
Oh, my back.
Huh?
Oh, he's saying my back.
Oh, I think you said battery and then...
Oh, my back.
Oh, my back. Yeah, sorry. I was like, what? Your battery's dead? No. Okay. Yeah, that was awkward. Sorry, I'll continue.
Just making bad jokes.
Yeah.
I'll make it work in the edit. It's alright.
I'm not
You
scared.
fit right in. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So basically, Spider-Man forces this goon to get into the car and start driving and following following Foswell, following Professor Stromm, or just following Professor Stromm. I don't know. Anyway, so he forces this guy to drive, And then the police obviously start, wailing their sirens. So Spider-Man bails. He's like, I'm out of here. I don't want anyone to think I'm like doing anything dodgy because everyone always pins it on me. So
They sure do.
yeah, they sure actually do. So he's swinging through the city, and then next panel we see J. Jonah Jameson at the Daily Bugle, and he's demanding that has anyone seen Foswell? But obviously no one's seen him because he's out doing some detective stuff as the Patch or whatever, his
Yes.
alias is Patch. And we have fake Betty Brant in the office. And Jay Jonathan's like, Miss, what's your name? You sure
doesn't know her
Foswell hasn't
name?
called in? Yeah, it's another girl. It's a different one.
Oh, it's a different one.
Yeah.
They just keep churning through Bettys.
Yeah, fake Bettys. And then she's
And we never know their name.
yeah, literally. So she's like, yeah, positive, Mr. Jameson. I haven't seen him. And then she's like, get back to work. What do you think I'm paying you for? In classic J. Jonah Jameson style.
Classic.
And she has a thought bubble that's like, I hate this guy, basically. What an asshole. And Peter Parker walks in. And J. Jonah Jameson says, what do you want, Parker? If you haven't any photos for me, I'm busy. Peter says, speaking of photos, you never paid me for that loss that I sold you. J. Jonah Jameson.
Which one was that?
I don't know.
Oh, the looter, probably.
Probably. Yeah.
That would have been the last issue.
And then basically...
The first and last appearance of the looter.
the looter. The first
We
and
never
last.
see him again.
As
It's
we
a
know.
shame.
Yeah. He's like Drax.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
stands so
never again.
still that we can't see him.
Oh, yeah. Dude, if I ever wrote a Spider-Man film, I'm putting the looter in there.
Yeah, do it. Anyway, let me continue. So J. Jonah Jameson basically blames Peter Parker for Betty Brant leaving because all of his records are now mixed up, and that's why he can't pay him. So he's like, it's all your fault because Betty quit. And then Foswell finally shows up, and Jameson's like, Foswell, you'd better have something for me. I've been looking for you all day. And Foswell says, ever hear of Professor Stromm? He's been released from jail today, and he's threatening revenge. And J. Jonah Jameson's interested, so he invites Foswell into his office to talk more about it. So Peter obviously witnesses this whole interaction. He goes, oh boy, I better put the spider tracer on Foswell's hat band to see if I can, suss out whatever this Professor Stromm guy is as well. So he does that. And now we're in Professor Stromm's lab, and it looks like he's got a lot of fucking machinery and just jargony, robotic equipment. And there's this mysterious guy with a blue hat that says, I bought all the gadgets you wanted with the dough you stashed away, Professor. Anything else you need? Professor Stromm says, no, this is perfect, blah, 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 blah. Go home away from my call, Max. So this guy's called Max. Seems like his sidekick or something like that, or his lab mate. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't really know much about him. And, Professor Stromm has an evil monologue. He says, for 10 years, I dreamed of this moment. I dreamed of getting revenge on the man who cheated me out of my inventions. So, I'm wondering, who's this guy who's cheated him out of his inventions?
Ooh.
Can anyone guess? No?
If you've seen Spider-Man, the motion picture, directed by Sam Raimi.
Then you might know. Yes. Anyways, we're back at college. Gwen Stacy is walking through the campus grounds, and Peter spots her, and he goes, I wonder if Gwen Stacy is still mad at me. So obviously the first thing he does, being Peter, is approach her and be like, hey, Gwen, we're both heading for the same class. Mind if I join you? And Gwen, being Gwen, is like, what the hell do you think you're doing, Parker? You're too stuck up to say hello to anyone usually. And then Peter's like, well... He goes really savage on her and just fucking blatantly insults her and says, well, at least I'm not a temperamental female who drools over a fella one day and then acts like an icicle to him the next. And her face is so shook. Look at her. She's like,
Oof.
so mad. Big off. She's like, drat that crazy temper of mine. Oh, this is what Peter's thinking. I've really put my foot in it. And Gwen tries to slap Peter in the face, but he puts his hand up and stops her mid-slap, and it's like, oh my god. It's like, when I read this I was like, oh dang.
They high-fived.
Yeah, they high-fived. Sure. And then Peter, instead of being like sorry, says, anyone ever tell you you're gorgeous when you're angry? What the fuck is going on? The beginning of a romance, obviously.
Oh no.
Every time
Spider-Man
I read
Blue.
this, I'm thinking, little does she know he will be the death of her. Anyway, so yeah. What's his name? Flash shows up and he goes, "What's going on there? I saw that, Parker. I'll make you eat those words, you puny punk." But Gwen just like, "Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it, Flash. It's right. Just next time." Just let him go, Flash. And Flash says something to the effect of like, Peter's probably scared of me anyway. But Gwen thinks, "I'd bet my bottom dollar that Peter Parker wasn't a bit scared of Flash." So she knows there's something up with him, that he's a little bit, it's not what everyone puts him out to be, basically. There's a bit more to him. So class ends. Oh, they're in class, and Harry Osborn goes, "I saw what happened, Gwen. Parker gives me a swift pain too." And Gwen just starts, like, looks over at Peter, thinking, what's the matter with me? I'm actually starting to defend him, because obviously she defends him to Harry. And then, Peter's just thinking about he wishes he was a bit more popular, but obviously Parker luck, that never happens.
Classic Parker luck.
Classic Parker luck. And class ends, and everyone's just kind of like being like, "Fuck off, Peter. Like, you stay outside, stay out of my way." So we're back at the labs of Professor Stromm, and we see this Mr. Blobby looking creature, the green booger. It looks like a green Mr. Blobby with no face. Do you know Mr. Blobby? That show? It's like
Mr.
a British show, Mr. Blobby. No? Okay, never mind.
I know Plunsters.
Oh, no.
Do you ever see the Plunksters?
Yes, yeah. That actually does remind me of the Plunksters.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a burp. Anyway, so it's a weird robot. It doesn't look like a robot at all. It just looks like an organic mass or something like that. And it's Professor Stromm's robot, and he says something like, "Oh, of course, it moves by itself, Max," because Max is like, "Oh, it's grabbed me." And he goes, "I can mentally control its every action." So it's basically like Dr. Octopus's tentacles, but not part of his body, because he can control it with his mind.
Can I see what Dr. Stromm looks like?
Yeah, that's what he looks like there. So he's got this huge, like, magnifying, like, glass over his right eye, and he's bald. He kind of looks like a Bond villain. That's the best way I can explain him. He looks like a Bond villain.
He looks cooler looking than he does in the movie.
Yeah, definitely.
He gets killed in the first, 10 minutes?
Quite normal in the movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this, he's demonstrating this robot by he's dispatching it to his victim. So he can remotely control it from anywhere. So basically it goes up this building, we don't know what building it is, and sneaks in, takes out a guard, and it breaks into his victim's laboratory and just breaks everything, basically. So he's not actually going for anyone yet, or trying to kill anyone. He's just trying to, I guess, destroy this person's livelihood, so burns down their lab. And we cut to Spider-Man swinging through the city, and he sees this big billow of smoke, so he decides to check it out. So he busts in, and he says, "Holy Hannah, there's something crawling across the floor coming towards me. It's got tentacles. It's grabbed me. Shades of Doc Ock. What have I run into?" I love how he says shades of Doc Ock. I think that's so funny.
50
Anyway,
Shades of Doc Ock.
so this thing literally grabs him, and part in the Avengers where what's his face? Hulk grabs Loki and he slams him across the room. That's literally what happens to Spider-Man in this. This robot grabs him and just flings him across the room, slams him across.
And everyone in the theater cackles.
Yeah,
for
and
10
everyone's
minutes.
laughs for so long.
Then we watch it now, we're like,
yeah, it's it's all right. CGI isn't that good, but all right.
no, I say the opposite about Hulk.
Oh, yeah,
First Avengers has the best looking Hulk.
Yeah, you reckon?
I always say that. Ragnarok Hulk doesn't look that good.
No, Ragnarok Hulk doesn't look that good, no.
Age of Ultron Hulk looks better than Ragnarok Hulk, but still not as good as First Avengers Hulk.
What about Hulk?
Ang Lee's Hulk.
Yeah.
He looks like Shrek.
Hulk.
Really? I still haven't seen it.
Texture-wise, he looks like Shrek.
Yeah. Well, I've seen it, but it has been ages since I've seen it.
Yeah, that's true.
What's commentary
Live
Shrek?
action. It's live action Shrek.
What about Edward Norton Hulk?
Oh, that one's the worst.
Really?
Yeah.
It is pretty bad.
He doesn't look like he's actually in like the real world.
It's just a simulation.
It literally is.
So,
CGI.
yeah, it is. Sorry. So this blobby monster's grabbed. It's literally wrapped itself around Spider-Man and just constricted him, and he's literally facing the ground, like just fucking having a really bad time.
Aww.
He's struggling to get out. And so what he does naturally is fling himself into the flames. And he goes, hopefully it'll get so hot that it'll just release itself from me. And that's exactly what happens. And somehow he doesn't get burnt. So, you know, so he escapes because he's just like, fuck this. Like,
it's fireproof.
Is his suit fireproof? I don't.
Yeah, the suit, his Spidey suit, isn't it fireproof? Surely.
Yeah, surely it must be. Yeah, to some extent.
Yeah, to an extent. He probably can't just light himself on fire like Human Torch.
Yeah, Human.
Well.
Well, actually, you know what? Funny you bring that up, because if the Human Torch can have fireproof suit, then why can't Spider-Man have a fireproof suit?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that is
everything
very
the
fair.
Human Torch wears is fireproof in the comics.
Yeah,
like
it has to be. What do you think?
Well, in the one of the ones I was wearing, he was wearing like a Hawaiian shirt and like shorts, and he turns to Human Torch, and he turned it out, and he was still wearing the Hawaiian shirt and shorts.
He's not naked.
I think he just makes everything fireproof.
He only wears fireproof underwear.
Yeah.
And how does his hair not burn off? Anyway, that's for another day.
Remember in those Fantastic Four movies where Invisible Woman had to strip?
His hair is fireproof.
Yeah, his hair's fireproof. No, remember how Invisible Woman had to strip every time she wanted to turn invisible?
Yeah, I do remember that.
For comedy.
Yeah. A comedy, air quotations.
They never did that with...
And because, you know, they wanted to get...
their money's worth.
They wanted to get all the Jessica Alba fans in the theater.
Yeah, they need to get their money's worth out of Jessica Alba. They couldn't just like, you know, pay her to actually act. They have to have her naked too. They
didn't do that goof the same amount of times with Johnny Storm though, did they?
No.
Where he burns all his clothes off and he's like, no. It happens once. Yeah. In the snowboarding scene, do you remember that?
Yeah. Hey, look, I wouldn't mind Chris Evans naked, but, you know, that's...
As Captain America or Human Torch?
You got to have a bit of both.
Both in the same room.
Okay. That'd be interesting.
That would be very interesting. It's rude to point.
They'd balance each other out.
Yeah. You reckon?
Yeah.
They're very different, yeah.
Human Torch is like, hey, look at me, there. And Cap's like,
I would gladly die for the cause. Anyway.
And Avengers Endgame in cinemas.
Yes. I just love the character of Johnny Storm. Sorry, this is like a bit of a, a tangent, but in the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man comics, he asks Johnny Storm to help him with this like thing, and it's like these two kids have basically been like dropped onto Peter Parker, and then he goes, I need you to babysit, and he goes, oh my god, are they mine? Like he thinks the kids are his, and Peter Parker's like, wait, what? Like, why would you think that? Never mind, there's more important things to talk about. But I just love that because it's just like
yeah, also like the bit after that where Spider-Man's like, they're from another planet, so they probably won't know who you are. They didn't know who I was. And they're like, oh, you're the Human Torch.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, oh, okay, I see how it is.
That's like such an ongoing gag in like Spider-Man because like in the first few issues, I remember Spider-Man always being like, oh, you know, I want people to like, you know, fawn over me like Johnny Storm, but people would be like, oh, Spider-Man, who's that? And then Johnny Storm would like fly through and they'd be like, oh my god. Yeah.
It's crazy how like the stuff that happens in these comics is still carrying on to like what's releasing now.
Yeah, it's been literally decades. Like how cool
and it's
is
all the
that?
same continuity.
Yeah.
They haven't aged very much.
No, they haven't.
They've aged like maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
Since this.
Well, because there's been so many like timelines.
And the time period has changed.
Yeah, exactly. Like how strange.
How does that work?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it's like
the world
due to
around
like
them changes.
Yeah, I guess it can be explained through like if you had to explain it, if I had to know prior to this situation, like with all the interdimensional
I was about to say
crossovers
like
and stuff,
that, like Secret Wars and like
Yeah.
Spider-Verse.
I reckon anytime something like that happens, it fucks with the
space-time continuum or something like some shit like that. Anyway, back to my comic. So yeah, Spider-Man yeets himself out the building because he's like, fuck this, and he decides not to follow through with this investigation for now. We're back to Dr. Stromm's lab, and he's like, my first robot has served its purpose admirably, but now it is useless. However, my second robot is far stronger. And we see that he's like building a robot that's got a cyclops kind of eye that with a big laser. Oh. Sorry. And he goes, we should have it all ready and assembled for operation within the hour, which is quite shocking. And we're back at the lab that got burnt down. And dun dun dun, guess whose lab it is? Norman Osborn's.
Yep.
That's the person.
Who would have thought?
No.
Yeah, who double-crossed Stromm, I guess. And Harry's there and he goes, Father, we can't let this person get away with it. Why would... sorry. One thing I forgot to mention, everyone thinks that it was Spider-Man that started the fire. So he goes, Harry goes, how could we let Spider-Man get away with this? And Norman Osborn's like, oh, I know it's not Spider-Man. Don't worry about it. It's none of your business, Harry. And Harry's like, wouldn't it be something?
So how does he know?
Because...
How does he know that?
I guess because...
The Harry, like Norman.
So
how does he know?
I think he knows that Professor Stromm got released from jail. And he knows that he like fucked over Professor Stromm.
Right.
Yeah.
So
is it because he's something of a scientist himself?
Oh my god! You really set that one up, didn't you? You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
I enjoyed that.
Oh, I hope they have like a crossover panel like that in one of the comics, like where he says, I'm something of a scientist myself.
I mean, there's probably like a comic book adaptation of the movie.
Yeah, there probably definitely
I remember there was one of the Fantastic Four movie that I had. And it was just the movie, but in comic form.
That sounds boring.
So like if I didn't want to watch the movie, I'd just read the comic version. It's just the same thing, but a little bit different.
Just a little
with
bit.
bits cut out so it can fit into a comic.
Do they look like the actors, the characters?
Yeah, they gave it a go.
Does Jessica Alba look like Jessica Alba?
Yeah.
Nice. Anyway. So where am I? Yeah, so, J. Jonah Jameson turns up at the crime scene and he goes, I was at a club when I heard the news. Don't worry, Norman. Spider-Man won't get away with this. I'm J. Jonah Jameson and I'm never wrong about such things. I suppose your insurance will cover the damage. So, you know, J. Jonah Jameson being a prick as usual. And Harry says something like, we've got to do something about it. But Norman's like, no, you know, they won't renew my insurance. And like, I don't think it's Spider-Man. But J. Jonah Jameson says, that's a smart boy you've got, Norman. I like the way he sums up the situation. He'll go far. But Norman's just like, you know what? I'll call if I need you, Jonah. Just please leave. So Spider-Man is continuing to swing across the streets. And then he decides to keep tabs on Foswell. So he goes to his spider tracker location and he sees him in his apartment and he's in his patch uniform or disguise and he takes his hat off. I think he switches hats without Spider-Man knowing. So Spider-Man gets there gets in the apartment and the hat that is in the apartment has this tracer on it. So he didn't take the correct hat with him.
Yes.
So I think he stalks him. And he sees him show up to this kind of dark alleyway. And then we cut to Professor Stromm's lab again, and we see the robot is fully built and looking pretty deadly. And we're back outside the lab, and a secret doorway suddenly opens, and it's Max, Professor Stromm's minion guy.
Oh.
And he says, you, stay where you are. Don't turn around. Don't even move. And Foswell's thought bubble goes, oh, I found him. Because obviously he was looking for Professor Stromm. And this is all while Spider-Man's watching too. And he says, which is kind of cool, this is like watching The Man from U.N.C.L.E. on a life-size TV screen.
Oh, wow.
Wow, what a fucking old reference. I love that.
I understood that reference.
Yeah, only because they made a remake.
That movie from 2015?
Yeah, that movie
that's
from
what he was
Is
2015.
that what he's watching?
Yeah,
Was he
yeah.
watching a movie from the future?
Yeah, they're referencing something from the future.
Yeah, if they remade this comic, he'd be like, I was watching The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah.
with Henry Cavill and Armie Hammer.
Yeah. Oh, God, I love Henry Cavill and Armie
exactly.
Armie Hammer.
Yeah.
I would love to just be in a room with those two guys alone. Just alone, specifically. Just
Fun fact, Armie Hammer was
That
cast
sounds
as...
suspicious.
yeah, not suspicious at all.
Armie Hammer was cast as Batman once in a movie that never happened. Yeah,
really?
there was a Justice League movie and that was going to be directed by George Miller. And
What?
yeah, Army Hammer was cast.
Sorry, that was
This was
loud.
like 12 years ago now.
I'm in disbelief. Yeah, that would have been a while ago.
Yeah.
Right.
He would have been a real young Bruce Wayne.
I was about to say, that's a young Batman. I don't think Batman's ever been that young.
Have you seen Gotham?
Oh, fuck off with your Gotham.
Yeah.
That show, man. That show.
He's like 15 in that, and he's already fighting crime and stuff.
Yeah, that show.
It's stupid.
Anyway, so basically, he brings Patch/Foswell in, and the big robot comes out, and it's looking really intimidating and strong.
Nice.
So, obviously, Spider-Man, being who he is, throws a spider tracer onto its crotch. Just plain in sight, not very hidden. It's bright pink too, just so you know. Just right on there, slaps it right on. Ping!
I reckon the pink is insinuating that it's meant to be slightly translucent.
Oh, I see.
Because usually it's a red one. And I think they listened to last week's episode and they're like, next week we've got to make the spider tracer translucent
Okay.
to appease the Peter Palmer pod. So I'm
Okay.
glad they listened to us.
So pink equals translucent now. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Cool.
Pink's not a real color, apparently.
Really?
Yeah, someone said that.
No, you're just making it up. This is another one of those things that you just say, right?
I read this somewhere. I forget what the explanation was.
Pink's not a real color.
Yeah, like it's a color our brains...
It's just red, but diluted. It's diluted red.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what this article is on about.
All right. Pink is a real color. I've got it tattooed on my body, so I hope it's a real color.
That's not pink.
Yeah, that's pink.
Oh, the bits around it are.
Yeah, the shading's pink.
Right.
Yeah. Please. I know what's on my body permanently. Thank you very much.
Do you take a look again?
Oh, fuck no.
What if it moved?
Lol, that would scare
It's like a
me.
Harry Potter painting, but like a tattoo.
Do you think they have that in like the Harry Potter universe? Like tattoos that move?
Oh, definitely.
That would fuck me up. Like, that'd be really strange.
It's a GIF.
It's a GIF on your body. You can tattoo GIFs on yourself. I would love that.
What GIF would you tattoo on your body?
What GIF I would tattoo on my body? I would tattoo the GIF of, that's a good question. I think I have it in my brain. I know what it is. Hold on. A Simpsons GIF of some sort.
Okay.
It would be like Bart with the leaf covering his hoo-ha, like skating from the Simpsons movie.
I was going to say Homer, like descending into the bushes.
Oh, Homer is actually, I would actually literally get that tattoo, but it's descending into my arm.
Oh,
And it's
that's
like,
a good idea.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like
Then you get a green sleeve for your arm.
a green screen. I just tattoo my whole arm green and
Yeah.
then put that on there. No, that sounds like a stupid idea. Anyway, where are we? We keep getting sidetracked. So
We're almost at an hour.
yeah, fuck. Spider-Man's he sneaks in to this secret trapdoor place that, you know, obviously Foswell's at gunpoint being led into. And they see Spider-Man, obviously, because it's a bit hard to not get caught here. It's just an empty room. And Max is like, Spider-Man, in this cool font. And then Spider-Man's like, how on earth did you ever recognize me? Being sarcastic, obviously. And he chases this Max guy. And they're trapped in this, like, room. But, oh, yeah, sorry. I should be more specific. Spider-Man and Foswell have been trapped in a room because this Max guy leaves. And they're trapped in this, like, tiny room. So what happens? Oh, yeah, here we go. So Spider-Man finds this grate that he walks through in, like, very Into the Spider-Verse style, if you guys remember that scene.
No,
So, yeah, he's
I don't
walking
remember
through
that scene.
the vents. And he finds the lab. And we cut to Dr. Stromm's lab, and he's going, you know, forget about Spider-Man, Max. I don't care, all right? We need to keep on track with our revenge scheme. And so, scene switching time again. We switch to Norman Osborn's office and crash. The robot comes through his door and confronts Norman Osborn, and he says, I've returned again. Osborn, surely you remember my threat. It's too late for talking. My scheming ex-partner, I've waited too long for this treasured moment. And obviously he insinuates he's going to kill him. And Norman Osborn just literally is about to get whacked by this dude. He's like running and jumping up and down all over the fucking... You know when you like point a laser at your dog and he chases it? It's like that, but the opposite. It's like this robot is like beaming a deathly dead death laser all over his office, and Norman Osborn's trying to run away from it. So it's the opposite of like cats and dogs chasing a laser. Sorry, I explained that. That's a really weird analogy, but that's the way I saw it in my brain. He's like being chased by this laser for his dear life. And obviously Spider-Man jumps through the window just in time and he kicks it in the head. And he tells Norman Osborn to run away. It's all right, I've got this, man. So they have a bit of a tussle, Spider-Man and the robot. He tries to web it, but it's a really strong robot. So he goes, I've got to find a way to fight him. Maybe if I knock him off his feet, I'll have a chance. And he throws this huge engine at him or something. I don't know, this green thing. And it literally does nothing. The robot catches it. It's like, it's so funny. It's moments like these, this is what Spider-Man's thinking, that make me wish someone else had been bitten by that radioactive spider. Well, spoilers alert. Someone else actually did get bitten by that radioactive spider. But that's another few hundred issues.
We don't find out until 2014.
Yeah, literally 2014.
Silk.
Yay.
Aren't they making a Silk spin-off movie or something?
Oh, please stop.
Well, it's like the Spider-Women. Like Silk, Spider-Woman and
for a Spider-Verse spin-off or something.
Yeah.
So it's like what's that one that we were talking about before, the DC one?
Birds of Prey.
Yeah, it's like Birds of Prey, but except Spider-Man.
For Spider-Women.
Yeah, for Spider-Women. Basically, that's what they're
pretty
making.
much.
Jesus Christ.
And aren't they doing a
Spiders of Prey?
Spiders of Prey.
aren't they doing
Insects of Prey.
Yeah, weren't Marvel in talks to do like an all-female Avengers thing as well? I remember hearing about that.
They also promised to make a Black Widow movie.
The cast members were talking about it.
Yeah, all the Avengers.
They are making a Black Widow movie.
Yeah, Black Widow movies in the works.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah, it's got a director and everything.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah, they're in production this year, I think.
No one cares about Black Widow anymore, though.
I know.
It's a bit late. But
Do you reckon
anyway.
it'll be
it's a
prequel?
it's a weird one.
Or do you reckon it'll be a sequel? I guess we'll see what happens to her in Endgame.
Yeah, exactly.
I reckon a prequel would be more interesting.
Yeah, it'll be like a good version of that movie with Jennifer Lawrence in it.
Oh yeah, true. Just don't
Red
put
Sparrow or
yeah, Red
something.
Sparrow. Just don't put Nick Fury in it, please. I'm sick of him popping up on everything now.
He'll pop up at the end because he'll be casting her
Oh yeah, after credit scene, we'll be like, oh, can't wait for
for Avengers.
for Avengers.
Yeah. Or no, Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 2.
Do you think we'll have a
Yeah.
Sorry?
Do you think we'll have a scene where she like shows up to a registry booth and the guy behind the counter says, "Oh, so what's your name?" And she's like, "Oh, Natasha Romanoff." And he's like, "Say, what have you got on your shoulder there? Is that some kind of Black Widow?" And then she goes, "Ooh,
Ooh, that's the
I'm
after
gonna write
credits.
that down as your name."
Widow, a Star Wars story.
Exactly. Oh,
No, Widows the movie is the prequel to Black Widow
right.
the movie.
Widow's
That's how she becomes
a Marvel
badass.
story. Yeah.
Her husband dies and she you
No,
know.
they'll Rogue One it, and at the end, it will lead perfectly into Iron Man 2. She'll get the that job at like that Stark internship thing or whatever it was.
Making useless prequels. Like, oh my god, anyway.
Did you know
Yeah.
they've made it that
it's giving me all the Solo vibes.
Yeah,
for
literally.
sure. Do you know
How did he get his name, guys? It was behind a registry booth counter. He was like, "Oh, what's your name?" And he's like, "Han."
I could not
And the
believe
guy's
that
like,
Yeah.
when I saw it.
So, what's your family? And he's like, "Oh, I don't know." And he's like, "So you're solo, aren't you? You're running solo?" And he's like, "I guess so."
Ran Solo.
I guess
Just
that's
got
my
rejected.
name now.
Yeah.
I literally could not believe my
Forever
eyes when I
alone.
watched
Yeah.
that scene. I was like, is this really happening?
I think we had the same reaction to it, Sammy.
Yeah,
'Cause
we
at the
like
same time
looked
we were
at
both
each
like,
other. Yeah.
no, they're not doing this.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we were like,
I hope every prequel does that.
Yeah.
every prequel movie now.
So you're a walker
Yeah.
in the stars.
We have to have a scene.
Skywalker.
No, what was I gonna say about Solo? Probably wasn't very good.
Anyway. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm reading about a comic. I should do
yeah.
that. Anyway, yeah. So Yeah, Spider-Man's trying to defeat the guy, and the robot catches the thing. But all of a sudden, as he's trying to get away from the laser beam, Norman Osborn punches Spider-Man in the face so hard that it knocks him out.
Oh.
How does that work? Spider-Man's meant to be strong. He's literally knocked down. And so for some reason, Norman Osborn does this and then runs. He runs away.
He's got the goblin juice.
Yeah, exactly. He's got the goblin juice.
You ever seen Spider-Man?
Yeah.
By Sam Raimi?
Yeah, this is a spoiler for the comic.
Back
We're not supposed to
to
know
formula.
he's Green Goblin yet.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though it's widely known, but it's all right. Don't
Guys,
worry.
if you're somehow listening and don't know that Norman Osborn turns into the Green Goblin, then
I'm sorry, I guess. I feel sorry for you more like.
they've got this
What?
far.
Sorry,
mean?
Thomas.
Oh,
We
no.
just spoiled it for him. Something of a scientist myself.
Guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's not going to come back
Spoiler
now.
alert, guys.
Good old Gobby. So yeah, Spider-Man. The robot fucks off because it thinks it's defeated Spider-Man, and just as it's about to leave, Spider-Man quickly gets up and swings through the door before it slams shut and kicks it down the stairs, like kicks it in the ass, literally the robot ass. And they're having a bit of a old school high school wrestle, and he literally somehow has gathered up the strength to grab the robot by the legs and slam it on the ground. It kablamo lasers fires off on accident when it just backfires and lasers into the machinery equipment, so obviously it just stops working. It's broken to pieces, and Dr. Stromm's out. He's like, dude, what the duh? This is my shit.
Duh.
What the duh? What are you doing?
Spaghetti.
And Foswell,
Italian.
yeah, exactly. He's Italian.
Beat the bucker.
Hey, the Peter Parker. Hey, you ruined my stuff. Spider-Man.
That's what I said.
That's my
Parker.
robot. It's New York. Everybody talking like this.
Oh no.
Hey, you saw Green Book, right, Thomas?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It'll be like Green Book now.
Yeah, so racist. So yeah, Foswell's
Yeah, exactly.
the
Oh no.
steel window's starting to open, and Foswell's like, "Why in blazes didn't Spider-Man get back in time? It's the Hood who caught me, but he looked scared without
Hood.
this. Oh, it's the Hood who caught me. He's talking about Max, the sidekick.
I
but
thought he was
looked
talking
scared.
about the hood.
Hilltop Hoods, the whole hood,
Yeah.
Brooklyn. He's
The
talking
hood-
about Brooklyn.
The hood got me.
Uncle Aaron. No, so yeah, Max is about to run away. He's about to chicken out. But then we cut back to Foswell, oh fuck, Spider-Man and Dr. Stromm battling it out, and Dr. Stromm's grabs the robot head and is just using the laser manually. So he's like, obviously the robot's broken, so he grabbed its head and is using it as like a laser gun. But anyway, Spider-Man's like, dude, come on, like, don't insult me. So he webs it up and just gets it out of his hands, and he's caught him basically. But it's so funny. So Foswell enters the scene with Max at gunpoint. So yeah, Foswell's got Max at gunpoint, not the other way around, in case that's a bit confusing. And so you were here, Spider-Man. I should have known, says Foswell. And Professor Stromm says, even though you've caught me, I still have my revenge. There is something I must tell you, something nobody knows about. And then in this same scene, there's a lot going on here. We see, because it's from this perspective of a window, we see a gun pointing in. And all of a sudden it goes off. But Spider-Man, his spider senses are too fast. And he pushes Dr. Stromm out of the way. And, obviously he doesn't have time to, like, get Professor Stromm or lock him up. So he goes, because someone just tried to shoot them. So he jumps through the window and tries to get whoever the perpetrator is. And in between that happening and Spider-Man realizing there's no one outside, Professor Stromm has a heart attack and dies.
Oh. So it's the first and last appearance of Dr. Stromm.
Yeah, we were wrong about the looter, but we were right about
All right, I've got the title for today's episode.
the first and last appearance of Dr. Stromm.
Oh, that's why he dies so quick in the movie then.
Yeah, because he literally dies in his first
He
appearance.
has no potential.
Yeah, he's always destined to die. That's some Parker luck, if you ask me.
I remember in the video game he had all the robots. In the movie game,
Yeah,
yeah, he had a bunch of like robot drones he sent around the city.
I don't remember that. but I never played that game. So
Yeah, you wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's dead. Looks like a heart attack to me, says Foswell. And then Spider-Man says, all right, nothing more for me to do here. You guys can look after things now. So he leaves. He just leaves a dead body there.
With great power.
With great power comes great responsibility, guys. There's a lot going on in this issue. Back at the Osborn residence. Dad, Mr. Jameson is here. He has some good news for you, says Harry. Norman says, I know, I heard it on the radio. They caught Professor Stromm. He was found dead. J. Jonah Jameson's way too happy about this. He's like, fellow, because my duty as a fellow club member to tell you that you're safe now. And Norman Osborn says, the poor devil, I had forgotten all about him, but obviously that's not true. That's just what he's saying. And they're discussing how he never forgot Norman in prison. And, how basically J. Jonah Jameson compares Professor Stromm to Spider-Man because he hates Spider-Man, something like that. But then when Norman Osborn is finally alone, he returns to his dark and menacing thoughts. He's holding a rifle. Spider-Man almost ruined everything for me, but it won't happen again. Now that his suspicions have been aroused, he must be disposed of. So that was Norman Osborn who was trying to shoot old mate back there.
Very good.
Another section of the city, Peter Parker, he's just walking through the town. I accidentally closed the comic, so just bear with me while I open it again. He says, I couldn't have imagined it. There was someone in that window with a gun. And he's walking through college campus and everybody's like trying to talk to him going, let's go bowling, Peter. But obviously he's so deep in his thoughts that he ignores them and everyone thinks he's stuck up. And that's the end of the comic. There you go.
Nice.
Yes.
What an interesting tale.
Yeah, very interesting.
Dr. Stromm.
Dr. Stromm. Poor
Fan
Dr.
favorite.
Stromm.
I have to ruin your fun again because I just want to call in to say that this is not the last appearance of Dr. Stromm.
Really?
Oh,
he appears in multiple issues going forward.
He's a robot guy, so he probably did some robot
He probably
shenanigans.
uploaded his consciousness or some shit.
Yeah, like what's that dude in Winter Soldier?
Oh yeah.
Zola.
Yeah.
Zola.
Well,
you know, I was really happy with that.
well
scene in
apparently
Winter Soldier.
he is known as something else.
Oh, okay. Oh,
He's known as Robot Master.
Robot Master.
I was gonna say the Spider Slayer, but that's fucking Smythe or something, isn't it? Yeah. I was gonna say I really like that scene in Winter Soldier where you see Zola in the computer, because I remember in the first one there was a little Easter egg where because in the comics Arnim Zola is like a TV screen on a robot. That's like his costume. And there's a little Easter egg for that. It's like he's building blueprints for it. So when he popped up and he was a face on a computer, I was like, good job. They did it. They went there.
You did it. Good job.
Now we just need a Spider-Man film with the looter and I'll be set. Take a whiff of a meteorite and get some strong man powers.
Strong man powers. I want strong man powers.
Exactly.
Not strong woman powers. Strong man powers.
All right, we're at an hour 15.
Oh, shit.
So we might not have time to read or go through mine, but Thomas has the next one, issue 38, if you would like to recap that one.
Yeah, sure. I got Amazing Spider-Man, #38, or issue 38, it's probably as you would say.
No, it's hashtag these days, yeah.
And I love this cover. I love this cover because it's just like, it's called Just a Guy Named Joe, but it also says, here's Spidey at his fighting best. So all the other issues we've seen, this is him at his peak, all right?
So he peaks here. It doesn't get any better.
You thought you'd seen the best of Spidey.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's peaked at issue fucking 38. That's
Yeah, that's why all the movies are based off these first like few comics. Because he peaks here.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Okay, I was about to
They've
say,
done the death of Gwen Stacy and
Yeah.
had Venom introduced. So
Yeah. But only because of what's his face was obsessed with Venom.
Avi Arad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I love Avi Arad.
So, yeah. So the comic is called Just a Guy Named Joe.
Oh, yeah.
And they start off by saying that our mildly terrific tale opens in a crowded neighborhood gym, where we find a not overly bright habitué named Joe Smith indulging himself in one of the ever-present daydreams. So it's this guy, Joe Smith. Everyone's laughing at him. It's just a rando, and he's like, I want to be a boxer. And he looks at a boxing guy, and he's talking to his manager, and he's not getting what he wants. And then suddenly, like, literally next panel, he's in the boxing ring, and he's been knocked out in the first minute of the first round.
He looks
and everyone's
like
laughing at him like, yeah, exactly. He wasn't supposed to fall out of the ring for another 10 minutes. He said, I must have slipped.
Who is this guy?
This is dude. He's definitely a buff Archie, because if the Archie I know would definitely somehow slip out of a wrestling ring.
You don't see that in Riverdale, though, do you?
Yeah, you don't see that.
I just find it hilarious.
I know, some of the shit that they put in here is so great.
Yeah, it's such a random like spin-off thing going on right now. I don't understand. Yeah. So we go back to his after gym times, and the manager's trying to consult him, saying, look, kid, the fighting game just maybe it isn't for you. And then he's saying you haven't got the killer instinct.
Ooh.
But then he surprises him by saying, but I did just land you a job as a costumed extra in a TV fantasy film.
Oh, here we go.
So they're like, oh, he's a great actor, surely. And he goes over to the acting thing, and he puts on this weird costume,
Such a
which is like this
costume.
robot-looking costume.
It looks kind of like the Ludus costume.
I don't know what
I'm
it is.
not
It's
gonna
kind of
lie.
like an Iron Man
It's like
thing, but
Iron
with
Man.
like huge shoulder pads or something.
Yeah, the shoulder pads.
Iron Man meets the Luda.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And so they're trying to make this movie, and he's supposed to be this big monster that whacks everyone. And they start going. They go, okay, scene 11, take 1, roll them, right? Quiet on set, as we know.
Quite on
Exactly
the
how
set.
film sets work here. On the set, that's right.
Exactly.
And then he whacks some kind of, I don't know, it looks like equipment, like some kind of electrical equipment.
Just punches the camera.
He whacks something.
Oh no, he broke the Ari light.
But the funny bit, yeah, exactly. So the funny bit is he knocks the thing, and then shrapnel parts from that thing flies into a light that falls into some kind of like goop, some chemical goop that they just left on set. Like, what is this? What is this like health and safety
The
thing?
60s
They just
were
left
another
some
time,
chemicals on
Tommy.
the floor. I don't understand. It's crazy.
There's always
and then the
goop.
wires like electrify the chemical, and he gets like electrified, and he falls into the goop, and there's fire all around him. But then the next panel, the fire is gone for some reason. I don't know. Yeah, and they're like, oh no, quick, somebody get a doctor. Oh no, don't worry, he's starting to come around. He'll be okay.
He'll be fine. Just
like, what?
electrocuted.
Every origin
happened?
story involves
Yeah.
electrocution. And goop.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no. And then the manager goes, take it easy, Joe. You'll be okay. I guess you just weren't cut out to be an actor either, kid. He's
what he
messing
takes
with
from
him,
this.
saying, he's a shit actor. Yeah, he's a shit actor because he fell into a thing of chemicals and got electrocuted.
I'm just imagine being on set and like with Jake Gyllenhaal or something, and he just like has a terrible like life-endangering accident, and then the producer comes over. He's like, "Guess you weren't cut out for acting."
You should have survived that one.
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
And Christian Bale walks in and starts yelling at
but
him.
the film guys are saying, yeah, oh my god. The worst thing is the film guys are like, yes, we should use this scene. This scene was great.
Oh no.
Oh, it's like Tom Cruise breaking his foot.
And Mission Impossible, like,
And they
wow,
use
that was the best
Yeah.
take yet.
Exactly.
Good stuff.
So then a few minutes later, he's saying, oh, I feel kind of strange. Nothing's hurting, but I feel sort of different. And then the manager goes, well, any change will be an improvement. Just rest up for a while. He's just being so sassy to this guy.
Yeah, this poor guy.
Poor Joe Smith. Like, he's not catching a break in this issue.
My name's Joe.
And then I love what Stan Lee puts in, because it's like, and now while Joe Smith is resting, we just remembered that you might also be interested in the activities of Peter Parker.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I'll give it a go.
That's right. We promised him at his
he's
peak.
just going, holy smokes. Yeah. Oh, that's exactly. So now you got to see how good he is. And he says, holy smokes.
Another one.
Jameson's got another new secretary, the third one this week. And they're having a bit of a tussle about it and yelling at each other for it. And the secretary, I think, she leaves in a hurry because she's angry. And Peter's like, oh, something tells me I picked a bad time to come to the Daily Bugle to ask Jolly Jonah why he hasn't sent me my check yet for the news photos I sold him last month. Oh, well.
Sounds like working in film.
He's still waiting for that bloody payment. Yeah, exactly. He's not getting paid. What is going on?
Yeah.
So Jane Jonah Jameson is like, hold it right there, Parker. Hold up. And he blames him for Betty Brant leaving.
Again.
Because he's like, oh, I know you had a bloody argument with her, blah, blah, blah. He's like, darn, I should have left a few seconds sooner. And he keeps screaming at him, and Peter Parker just leaves. But then he meets up with Ned Leeds in the hallway.
Oh my God.
Ned Leeds is like, hello there, Parker. How are you? And then they talk about it, and he's like, have you been seeing Betty? How is she? And they get a bit of a confusion because, Peter doesn't know where she is. And he thought that Ned Leeds went off to marry him or whatever.
Yeah.
But Ned Leeds like, I asked her to marry me. She wanted to see you before she'd give me an answer.
That was ages ago.
Yeah.
Months ago at this point.
Exactly, yeah. But Ned Leeds is back, I guess. And he blames Peter for everything, saying, oh, it's your fault that she left and blah, blah. And Jameson's screaming from the other room like, Leeds, let go of him. You're a reporter, not the village bouncer. Oh, gosh.
I love J. Jonah Jameson. He's one of the best characters.
He has the best lines.
Yeah.
And then Ned Leeds just kind of goes, you haven't heard the last of me, Parker. I'll find Betty and learn what happened when I was gone. And then Peter comes with this sassy comeback saying, okay, put on your little Sherlock cap and start looking. I've got things to do. And he just leaves.
Look at his face in that
thinking
panel.
about what happened to Betty.
Which one?
In the last panel, he looks like...
It's kind of crooked.
Yeah, he looks so messed up.
Oh, no. Anyway, he leaves. And then he's like, oh, maybe I should have told Betty the truth about myself to begin with. She should have known I was Spider-Man or whatever, But then he says the weirdest thing. He says, but I can't be sure. No one can predict a female's reaction. Oh no. The 60s pain is coming through.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Really?
60s casual sexism.
Yeah.
Stan Lee.
So he hopes that Leeds finds her and stuff like that. So he walks away. But now let's change our scene before there's not a dry eye left in the house. Apparently this was supposed to be a sad scene. I didn't really get that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But anyway, we're back at the film studio. And the manager's like, okay, fella, if you're feeling better now, we'll start shooting the big fight scene, right? So he's like, oh, yeah, sure. I'm ready to do it. And they go, quiet on the set, scene 16, take 1. And he goes, it's funny, I feel as though they are my enemies. And then he starts punching all these extra, like, stunt guys.
Oh my God.
Really hard. And the film people are like, wow, he's a natural. He's making every punch look real. Well, meanwhile, in his head, in the Joe Smith's head, he goes, I do hate them. I hate everyone. Everyone always laughed at me, but they won't laugh anymore. And the film guys are like, that guy's great. He's another Lon Chaney, which I'm guessing was a good actor at the time.
Such an old reference.
He's probably from The Man from U.N.C.L.E. or something.
Oh, yeah, that film from 2015. He's probably talking about Henry Cavill or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good film.
So he keeps being angry that, no one respects him, and he keeps beating up all these guys. And the film guy's like, oh, should we maybe break this up? Like, is this a good thing? And the, I don't know, director or something is saying, no, this will be the greatest fight scene in the world. Yeah, so he keeps fighting. And then minutes later, all the people are running away because I'm guessing he just like busted up the entire film set or something.
What's he doing?
He went from 0 to 100
I don't understand.
so fast.
He like breaks out. Yeah, he goes full sicko mode outside of the studio.
Did the electricity
And then
like?
he just
Did he get all gooped
he
up?
flips a car or something.
Yeah, he just casually flip a car.
And he
it's
goes,
like
where
Split.
did all this strength come from? He can lift cars and everything. And walking down that very street, we find good old Peter Parker. He's thinking about Ned Leeds and Betty, and he's like, oh, everyone's running away like it's the apocalypse. And they're like, oh, run away. Don't go walk in that direction. And Peter's just in his thoughts like, oh, Betty, oh, Ned Leeds, oh. And then suddenly, like, a rock almost hits him in the face, and he's like, oh, damn, what's going on here? And then he's like, it's web spinning time. And then suddenly he's got his costume on and he's swinging in. And he says, it looks like some refugee from a Halloween party running amok. And I mean,
God.
I don't know if that's how I'd describe that costume, but you know, each to their own.
What is
So he webs him up. Yeah. Oh, it's oh boy. So he webs him up. And Joe Smith is like, oh, something dropped on me, some kind of thin, sticky thread. And he tears it open, and Spider-Man's like, whoa, someone that strong, you know, he must be real strong if he could tear away my webbing. And then they have a bit of a punch-up, and they do a lot of quipping. He does a lot of quipping. Like, there's so much dialogue in this fight scene. It's actually a little bit insane. So they're just talking through all this fighting.
Yeah,
Don't know how they can do it.
There's always way too much dialogue.
But I guess that's what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man.
Yeah, but it's always like unnecessary stuff where it's like, whoa, he was so strong, he broke that wall as if it was made of paper plates.
Yeah.
Whoa, he crushed my hand like it was an eggshell.
What are they called? Simile?
Yeah, simile.
Yeah.
And he says, Spider-Man is thinking like, I've never fought anyone like him before. It's as though he isn't quite with it. How did he ever become so strong? You know? So Spidey's just like fighting this guy that he thinks is insane. And they keep fighting, and the Joe Smith lifts him up and like just throws him into a vat of water or something. Or I don't know if it's like a water truck or garbage truck. It looks like water, but it might just be garbage.
Yeah, I reckon it's garbage.
Yeah, he tosses him in there. Yeah. Oh, gosh. And then suddenly Joe Smith is like, my head, it's clearing. The strange mist is beginning to fade away. And then Mr. Monopoly here comes out and he's like, Joe, I'm glad I found you. Come on, kid, I've got to get out of here. Or you've got to get out of here. I don't know what came over me. No time for guessing games now, Joe. You're in a jam. But I'll stand by you, even though I ought to have my head examined for it. Come on. And so he takes him away and hides him. And by the time Spidey returns to the scene of the battle, he finds he's gone.
Oh.
First time I've ever owed a fella some wax without even knowing what he calls himself. Gosh, he doesn't have a nickname. That's the problem.
Yeah, he doesn't have a name.
He's just
yet.
Joe.
And then he's just Joe Smith, the most generic, boring name for a guy. And then we cut to at the very moment in another part of town where we're suddenly with Norman Osborn. And he's just saying, thanks for the lift, Harry. And I guess Harry drove him to this random place. And they drive away. And then he puts on this goatee, which is supposed to be a disguise. Like, he puts on a fake goatee and some glasses. And it's like, oh, now with my identity safely disguised, it's time for me to keep my little appointment.
I mean, he does look pretty different.
Oh, boy. And exactly, he looks so different. It's like, I can't even recognize him. And so he meets up with all these gangsters and puts a bounty on Spider-Man because he wants him to, I'll give you a reward if you get him in. And he gives them 20,000 20, what was it? It says something like 20 green somethings.
Hold on, where's this?
I don't know where it says. It says something. I remember saying it's like pay off half. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. But anyway, he said something like, I'll give you 20,000 green dollary dues to get him. I'll give you half and then I'll give you the other half when you got him. So obviously he's trying to get him in, but it's a bit of a scam because we know he's not going to get caught.
If we know Spider-Man.
And then Stan Lee comes in again. Yeah, and now while we are all clear our heads and try to understand what's going on here, let's quickly visit the campus. So it's like Stan Lee's admitting, like, yes, the plot is getting really convoluted, and I'll give you some time to try to understand what's just happened. But before we understand it, let's just throw in some more random plot from the university here. So yeah, Gwen sees Flash and Harry Osborn from the Hate Peter Parker Club, apparently. And then we cut to Peter somewhere else. I'm like, that was 2 panels. Gosh. And Peter is in this like student protest for some reason, and he doesn't want to be a part of it, but they're all like, come on, join our protest. It's that lightweight Peter Parker, wouldn't you know it? And he's like, nah, I'm not having any of this. I'm going away, right? So this whole page is just him like, nah, I'm not going to do it. And then he meets Flash, I guess, and Gwen and Harry. And Peter's thinking, oh, no matter what Flash says to me, it's hard to get mad at him. Even though he has no use for Peter Parker, he's one of Spider-Man's most loyal fans. And then Flash just insults him again. And they walk away. Poor Peter. It's so sad. Sad moment.
Sad, real sad Peter hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then Stan Lee whips another one at us, going, students, all together now. Switch scenes. Switch. Like, what is going on? We're just like switching back and forth every single time.
It's like that hit song by Will
Joe
Smith, Switch.
I was going to say, it's like The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, yeah, the movie, yeah.
Where we just cut to random scenes.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
Peter Parker will have just defeated Electro in Times Square. Then he goes home to mope about his dead dad.
Oh my god.
In that montage.
I'm not scared.
Oh, the dog.
I'm not scared. Anyways, what's Joe up to?
It's too good. Well, he's just sitting at a bed. I think like it looks like a hospital bed, but I'm guessing it's just his like chill out room, at the boxing area.
Oh yeah.
And Mr. Monopoly is like trying to calm him down because Joe's saying, I don't understand what happened. What came over me, Tommy? And the manager's like, I don't know, kid, but try to rest and then we'll see if we can figure it out. And then he goes, I think it had something to do with that arc light hitting the puddle of chemicals. It set off some kind of electric shock that went right through you.
Didn't give him powers,
At first,
though.
I was sure you were kaput. Oh, no, surely. It just made him kind of crazy.
Of course.
So Joe Smith just falls asleep while he's talking at him. But he's still saying he's a good egg, He's a good egg. And then we cut back to the headquarters of the Hoods Incorporated, which I'm guessing is the bad guy place. And it's good old, is it him in disguise still? I don't think it's Norman Osborn. It looks like someone else.
Yeah, that's someone else.
This is weird. Yeah. I think it's like a gang leader of the Hoods Incorporated. And he's like, a certain party has offered a reward to the man who finally beats Spider-Man. A reward big enough to put you on Easy Street permanently. What do you say to that? And they were like, what? What's the reward? And he's like, oh, here it is. He says, how does 20,000 greenies sound to you?
Greenies.
I thought that was funny. Greenies. Yeah, 20 grand. And they run away and they go, let's go. And then, again, we swap scenes to behind the ivy-covered time-hollowed walls of ESU. And so they're trying to be scientists in the lab here.
As you do.
And they're making fun of Peter. Yeah, exactly. He's something of a scientist himself, you know?
He sure is.
He's just thinking, seems to me I read about Osborn's father somewhere, but I can't remember where. Well, what does it matter, right? And then they get let out of class, and Peter's running off to change into Spider-Man, but his head is spinning. I can't forget Betty Brant, Ned Leeds, that costume muscle man I fought before, or Aunt May, for some reason just name drops Aunt May, you know, it's kind of funny, and my schoolwork. Yeah, and then someone else is saying, I can't help feeling sorry for Pete. I wish they'd all stop riding him. They're just bugging him, you know, being annoying at him. And then we cut to him being Spider-Man. He's swinging through the city. And all these guys are suddenly chasing him. He's like, ooh, a bevy of baddies sneaking up behind me. And so he fights them, you know, does a little bit of fighting. And he's, you know, don't you gents know better than to try and surprise attack on a fella with built-in spider sense? You know, you needn't bother answering, of course. It was purely a rhetorical question.
Purely rhetorical, of course.
Good old Spidey quips.
Exactly. It's just stellar. So he doesn't understand where these punks come from. He's like, you know, what can these cheap punks, why do they want to get me? And before we get an answer to that, we cut to good old Joe Smith. He's still in his bed and he's woken up from his deep slumber. Even though he's saying, it's no use, Tommy, I can't sleep. My head's going around like a top. And so the manager, of course, naturally says, well, get dressed and take a shower, kid. Maybe, it's written maybe. Maybe it'll make you feel better.
Yeah, they do weird stuff like that sometimes.
I don't know why.
In the one I read,
Yeah,
for some
it's
reason,
interesting accent writing.
yeah, for some reason they kept abbreviating stuff Spider-Man said in the one I read, but they were cutting out like the ends and words specifically. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But anyways, continue.
Oh no. Yeah, so they decide to go somewhere, and Joe Smith is just sad, and he's like, everything I do is wrong. I was born a failure, and I'll die a failure. I'm just a bum.
Buddy.
And I think he punches the glass or something. Yeah, the Mr. Monopoly is trying to calm him down.
No.
But Joe is getting angrier and angrier. And then he's like, his face turns red completely.
Oof.
And he decides to go out and show them who's who. He goes out and he punches Monopoly Man and pushes him away back onto the bed. And he's like, nobody tells me what to do. The champion, you know. And meanwhile, in a neighboring area, more fun and games are now in progress. It's because Spidey's whipping these bad guys that have been chasing him. Yeah, it's like somebody suddenly declared open season on Spider-Man, you know?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Maybe.
So all these guys are being hit, and he doesn't understand what's happened to them. He doesn't understand why they're after him. And then again, it was a bit of a pointless panel because we get back to Mr. Joe Smith. He goes back to the boxing ring. And he's like, no, I'm going to show him. And so he beats up all the boxer friends that he made. Well, all the people that bullied him before. And before we have time to think about that panel, Spider-Man's swinging again. And yeah, he swings over. Okay, this is funny because Stan Lee wrote, and now we're sure it will come as no surprise to any loyal Spider-ophile to see Spidey swinging past the gym during the aforementioned Donnybrook. Or how wordy can you get? So he's just being really wordy with his explanations here. And he sees that Joe Smith is beating up these people inside the gym. He says, doesn't he ever stop fighting? And he swings his way inside.
He's just always
Here comes
fighting.
Spidey. Yeah. What a lucky break. And apparently all the boxer guys are the same guys that are trying to hunt him down for the reward. Or they know about
They
the
just
reward
happen
as
to
well.
be the exact same people.
Yeah, it's the strangest thing.
What's a Spider-Man
So he
story
beats
without
them up.
coincidence?
You know? Yeah, exactly. But Joe Smith is like, oh, you're trying to interfere with me again. You know? And all the bad guys are like, now's our chance. Come on, guys. While they're fighting, let's get them. Let's take them down. And then the guys, they saying, stay with them, Joe. We'll split the reward with you. And Joe Smith, he's not having any of that because he's saying, I'm in this alone. You're all my enemies. Right? So they're all fighting. and they're just whacking away at each other. And Spidey says, I was right about him. The poor guy hasn't got all his marbles. Clearly, you can see all those yellow dots that are around his head because his brain is a bit out of it. And Stanley, he knows what I'm thinking. He says, okay, it's sound effects time again. So hang on, here we go. And it's just a whole page of them fighting with like whack and butup and foom, kapuk, all that stuff. They're fighting, boxing, things are going everywhere. Yeah, it's amazing clip. And now with one final kapow, we end our scintillating sound effects section as Smile and Stan thanks you, one and all, for the brief breather you've allowed him. So he didn't want to write, so he just, put this whole page in. He just wanted a break from all this writing.
Fair enough. He writes a lot.
And Spidey goes, have you had enough, big fella? And Joe's like, the spots, I don't see him anymore. And I feel just like I used to. So all he needed was a big ass whooping, and then he's back to normal. And this is a bit funny because the police come in, and they're like, what's going on? We heard a report of a fight. And someone goes, what do you expect in a gym? Maypole dancing? Very funny. Let's hope it'll tickle the judge too. Right? Oh, the boxing guys are just like, it's a boxing gym. What are you talking about, police? And the police see Joe Smith and are like, hey, we've been looking for you. You're that character who thinks he's one-man bulldozer. So I thought naturally, is that going to be his nickname, like bulldozer, huh? But I don't think it is. Because he's like, I didn't mean to, cause any trouble. And the police are like, oh, no, neither did King Kong. Savage policeman.
Ooh.
And then Mr. Monopoly comes out and he's like, hold it, boys. I'll take care of everything. I'm his manager. And they don't believe him because he's like, he needs a good lawyer. But Joe Smith, Tommy boy, I am so glad to see you. Right? And so basically how this ends up is like Monopoly guy, I don't know if he bribes the police, but he manages to like say that, the TV people, they'll pay for everything. They'll drop all the charges against you, and they're saying that it was the electrified chemical that splashed you. He said splashed you, but actually what happened was he got electrified in a puddle of water. It didn't look like a splash to me.
No. Poor guy.
So I don't know, but the effects should be wearing off. It's like having radiation poisoning and them going, the effects, they should wear off soon. They should be fine now.
You should be fine. It'll wear off. Just take a walk or something.
Yeah. Joe Smith is feeling like himself again. And the manager is going, they saw the first rushes of your film. You were sensational. They want to enlarge your role, sign you up to a long-term acting contract, the works. And now Joe Smith is happy because I'm going to be somebody. At last, me, Joe Smith, an actor.
Oh, buddy.
And so all the boxing buddies are happy for Joe because now he said it's a real miracle. And the TV studio is paying for the damages to the police. So everything kind of works out. And Spidey says that too. He says, I'm sure glad it worked out this way. I always felt he wasn't really a bad guy. At least I learned his name anyway. Maybe someday I'll be able to get a free pass to see him in a movie. Although with my luck, they'll give him a nose job, change his name, and I'll never know who he is.
Why would he give him a free pass? He just beat
plastic
him
surgery
up.
was popular.
I'll get a free pass from this guy I just beat up. Oh, well.
Yeah. Oh, my God. So Spidey runs away, and all the people are trying to rush at him again and trying to grab him. And then they're saying, Spidey's saying, I got news for you, eager beavers. It's you who can't get past me. And so he kind of beats them up again. Yep, he pushes past them. Joe Smith causes all that trouble and winds up being a big hero. He beats all these guys up and he goes home. Well, before that, he sees a dummy and he's like, even a blamed store window dummy sits there and grins at me because Spidey's feeling sad about himself. Go on, smirk. Sit there with a dumb-looking smile on your lifeless pan. The more I look at him, the more he reminds me of Ned Leeds. Naturally, because it reminds him of Ned Leeds. He punches the dummy in the face. A piece of it breaks off.
Oh, that's pathetic.
Well,
that is actually
why I
pathetic.
hate you, Leeds. because you have the right to propose to Betty. The shadow of Spider-Man isn't standing between you.
I'm not scared.
It's all very sad.
Of the dark.
I'm not scared. And we go to
When it gets dark outside.
a short time later.
That's the best soundtrack.
A short time later, we get the after credits scene, or the sequel bait, where at the home of Miss May Parker, right? I'm so sorry you can't stay any longer, Mary Jane. I'm sure Peter will be home most any minute now. And then Mary Jane is like disguised by a leaf or something, or a tree, some kind of tree.
It looks like her hair is
and
that
she says,
leaf.
I'd so like to meet him, Mrs. Parker, but some other time perhaps.
They really...
And no sooner has the front door closed behind the visitor than May Parker hears a wary voice behind him. So Parker comes home. And May is rushing him to the front door because he's like, oh, I've got something you want to meet. But Mary Jane is gone. Silly boy. She's been trying to, get them to meet for months. But, Peter thought it was Betty, but he got disappointed.
Aww.
So Aunt May offers him a glass of warm milk. But Peter just wants to catch the late news. And on the news, they're saying that Joe Smith has signed a 5-year contract with the TV station because he's going to be in a superhero series.
Oh, good on him.
It's probably one of the Netflix ones, the Netflix Marvel ones.
Straight to Netflix.
Luke Cage.
He's Luke Cage, yeah. They whitewashed Luke Cage.
No, what are you talking about?
Oh no. What an origin story. He fell in a vat of chemicals and then he became Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Oh boy. It's bad. So now he's been made fun of on the news because he got beat by an actor and Spider-Man's sad. And so he goes upstairs. Aunt May is like, sleep well, Peter, dear. I'm glad you turned off the TV. Some of those news items can give a body nightmares. And Peter goes, not much chance of that in my case. I only have them when I'm awake. Next issue. The biggest surprise of the season awaits you. Enough said. Ooh. They don't even bother teasing what's going to happen. They're just saying it's a big surprise.
Yep. And I know the big surprise.
That was my comic. That was, good old... Oh, yeah, I see the cover for the next one. Oh, that's exciting.
Yes. So, question.
So, yeah,
do you reckon Joe Smith returns again, though? Is this the last we see of Joe Smith? I need to know.
Oh, gosh. I'm going to have to look that up. Joe Smith.
I'd be shocked if he comes back.
Spider.
I mean, all of them come back, I guess,
Joseph
because...
Smith. Here we go. He was a regular guy. Let's see. 13 appearances of John Smith.
Comics are crazy.
Yeah, so apparently he's in some kind of volume, collections. He's in an episode of an issue of Captain America.
Okay.
Wow.
Apparently.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I can see that.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if this is just they reused the name many times.
Because it's a very generic name.
I don't know if it's the same, but
yeah.
But he's got his own wiki page. His weakness is his poor fighting skills.
Poor fighting skills. He's
guess
just strong. He just is dumb.
Yeah, I guess all these lame villains pop up again and again because the people who grew up reading these ones and were a fan of them end up writing their own arcs and just want to put in their faves from these older issues.
It says here about the Captain America. It says, after reaching Hollywood, he starred as the Crimson Bat and started a romance with Liz, a scriptwriter. After he married her, the show was canceled, and she gave birth to a son, Joe Jr., who had birth defects. And as a result of the shock, the couple divorced.
Oh no!
Joe Jr. died from his condition.
Oh my god!
Joe Jr. died from his condition, setting Joe off again, only to be helped by Captain America.
Oh!
As a result of the experience with his son, Joe worked at a children's center to help similar kids. So clearly this condition he has from being dosed in chemicals affects him years later.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that was
a sad tale of Joseph Smith.
That's really sad, actually.
Very sad. That was a good issue, though.
I did like that issue. Yeah.
Even though it cut between things a bit too much, it was still.
It was different, though.
Yeah,
it was a good little story.
So many stories.
But we don't have time to go through my one, unfortunately. But it's probably
gosh,
it's not a bad place.
We're leaving the Ditko era, though.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's the last one. Steve Ditko illustrated, so not a bad place to send off for this week.
Thank you, Steve Ditko. Rest in peace, buddy.
Oh, so he's not doing it anymore.
No, that was the last one he did, apparently. 39, it's John Romita. And I know he did it for quite a while. Yeah. And I like John Romita's style.
Well, that's sad.
What'd you say, sorry? Oh, no.
Did it cut out?
Wow.
No, I don't think it's cut out.
Huh? What?
Don't worry, I thought you said something. But, yeah. Next week is a new era for Spider-Man. I mean, it's still Stan Lee writing. So he's still got all his bullshit in there.
Yeah.
All his over-explaining in the text boxes and unnecessary dialogue. But there's a bit of a reveal next week. We already know what it is, kind of. But at the time, it would have been a big old reveal. Because they've been teasing... Yeah, they've been teasing this, the secret identity of a particular villain for many issues now, obscuring his face in every way possible. And we find out who it is next week.
Yeah.
So stay tuned, folks, for Amazing Spider-Man 39.
Wow, we've gotten pretty far, so, I never thought we'd get this far.
No, we're going to do all of them.
I thought I would be dead by now.
Don't speak too soon.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, what was our faves this week?
I liked my one.
Dr. Stromm. Yeah, that one was pretty good.
Yeah. Because it introduces the whole, Norman Osborn not being all that he, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was good. I liked the one Thomas recap just because, it was just some guy that kind of went crazy.
Sicko mode.
And then at the end, he got a 5-year deal with...
It was crazy.
Yeah, 5-year deal with the TV studio. So it all worked out for him in the end for once. For the villain.
That's so wholesome.
Yeah, it was a nice, wholesome story.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, before we end this week's podcast, is there anything we would like to plug coming up in the coming week? Or what about you, Thomas? Would you like to plug any stuff you're doing?
Well, I'm always doing stuff on YouTube. If you happen to know and understand Norwegian, just go to FilmKos, film and then KOS. Or you can follow me on Twitter. I write in English there sometimes. And you can click on the translate button if you want to understand. So, follow me on Twitter is probably the best thing to say if you want to follow my hijinks. Yeah,
good stuff. Sammy, you have anything to plug?
Not yet.
Not yet. Yes. Oh, yeah, you've been talking about an idea for a thing you want to do. Yeah. Exciting. I'll quickly plug the same thing I was plugging last week. What was that, sorry? Never mind. So I'll quickly plug what I was plugging last week.
Yeah, no, I was just...
Oh.
Damn it. It's so hard.
Continue.
Yeah, I keep glitching. I was just going to say that... I have one more thing to plug.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Go ahead.
It's my bathtub. It's my bathtub because I'm gonna have a bath after this.
Oh my god!
Okay.
All of that just for you to make.
I thought that was worth it. Yeah, you've got to plug your bath.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
or else you can't have a bath if you don't put a plug in it.
It's a shower, isn't it?
A shower? I wouldn't say lying in your tub and letting it go without the plug is a shower.
Yeah, if you lie
if you're
underneath.
sitting in your tub, and it's.
Oh, yeah. It's just a sad flow of water, isn't it?
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Anyways, if you're listening at home having a bath, remember to put the plug.
Yeah, please. Or that's wasting water. Imagine the kids in there.
Also, don't drop your phone in the bath if you're listening to this on phone. That'd be pretty bad. Unless it's a Samsung.
Or a toaster.
Oh yeah,
Or a
shoot toaster.
Yeah, don't drop. I know it's really nice to have waffles while you're in the bath, but please.
Yeah, don't toast them in there. Toast them beforehand, then eat your waffles. But no, I can finally plug what I was talking about. My top 15 films of 2018. It's coming, I promise, even though it's almost February.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've recorded it. I just need to...
It is February.
Oh shit, it's February. When the listeners are listening, it might be March. But no, that video is coming. I just need to edit it and then get it out. But yeah, if you want to follow me on Letterboxd, though, you can see my list already and not watch the video. That's fine.
Oh.
Actually, no, don't do that.
Sad.
I'll delete my Letterboxd list until the video comes out, so you can't do that. Get the views. So, yeah, if you want to follow the podcast, though, on social media, be in the know about what we're doing and updates on, any other stuff, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at peterpalmerpod. And also, if you want to send us some mail, some hate mail, or constructive criticism like Thomas does.
Please do.
Yeah, send it to peterpalmerpod@gmail.com.
Yeah, we need more criticisms, guys. Come on. Thomas can't do it all for you guys.
Look, there's at least 15 listeners out there. I've seen the statistics.
We see you.
So, I don't know if they listen to the whole thing, though. They maybe never get to the plugs. But if you have got to the plugs and haven't fallen asleep, then yeah, send us some hate mail or love mail, whatever you want. I'm not your mother.
I'm not your mother.
We better end this for this week because it's almost our longest episode again.
Oh shit! Okay, all right. Goodbye.
It's the same length as last week. Good night, Peter Palmer fans and former lovers.
On the flip side, yay.
Thanks for having me.